The reply also came as soon as it reached the government, and in the letter it was written that the Italian government was ready to provide guillotine machine along with the executioner, but the Monaco kingdom was supposed to pay 12,000 francs to Italian government. When king saw this letter also, he was unable to pay that amount also, because once again, to pay that much amount also, the king was supposed to impose taxes on citizens of the kingdom. Hence, the kinglet decided to discuss about some other ways through which the criminal could be punished. And in the meeting, the king told to the commander, why could any one of the soldiers not cut the head of the criminal? Because it was not at all a big task for any soldier to cut the head of the criminal, because such kind of training could be given normally to each soldier in the army. And when the order was given by the king, in the same manner the commander went to the soldiers and asked to the soldiers. Not even a single soldier was ready to cut the head of the criminal. They said, no, we cannot do that. We don't have that kind of training. We cannot undertake that kind of responsibility. In a clear manner, the soldiers rejected the order of the commander. And after this situation, the king once again called the meeting. The ministers started discussing. Finally, one of the ministers suggested the king to convert the death punishment of criminal into life imprisonment. The ministers said that the people would consider the king as a kind person if he could convert it. And moreover, it would be beneficial for the kingdom because it avoids giving 12,000 francs to Italian government. After listening to the suggestions of the ministers, the king becomes a little happy and he decides to change the punishment of the criminal from death sentence to life imprisonment. And after this punishment, a year passed. And when the time came for the king to look after the account of the expenditures in the kingdom, he started observing each expenditure. After a few minutes, he got shocked by looking at one expenditure which was made on the criminal, and the expenditure to him was around 600 francs. When the kinglet came to know that only for a year it was 600 francs, what would be the result if at all? The criminal would live for 50 years. It would be a great loss for the kingdom, he thought. As per the expenditure, the criminal was to stay in the palace where a small jail was made, and there was another person as a jailer to look after him. Food was being provided directly from the kitchen of the palace only, including the salary of the jailer. The food, the expenditure was around 600 francs, which made the king to be worried a lot because the criminal was completely healthy. He could live more than 50 years, which would be again burden for the kingdom. He once again called the ministers for the meeting. Once again, the discussion took place. There, they decided finally to just order the criminal to run from the jail. That was the only way which can release the burden of the kingdom. When a particular minister gave this suggestion, then another person asked who should say that the person has to go or the criminal has to run from the jail. For that, the another minister told that we should first suspend the jailer who should look after the criminal. Once we dismiss the criminal,